Hi everyone and welcome back to Clever Areas. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. So today we're going to be reacting to a clip, a very long clip from Hollywood Expose Official, a very nice page I've been following to keep up with what is happening in the United States, their news story and the culture and everything. So there's this clip, of Bill Maher and Ellen talking about the whole Trump hysteria and everything. It's very interesting. So I want us to, watch the clip and then I'll give my own little take on it.
He sits and talks like that. When he listens,
He's a good listener.
he's a good listener.
After years of Hollywood and the media painting Donald Trump as the villain, Bill Maher, he's finally starting to see through the lies. And he even agreed with Tim Allen that the president is nothing like the media would like you to believe.
The way he can do that kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up.
And today, we're going to tell you all about it. So, here we go.
I met the dude at a dinner with his wife, who was genuinely a wonderful person, and he was more. This is, I think, the second to last year, the last year of The Apprentice, and he was thinking of moving to Los Angeles and being a movie producer. And he was talking about movies. He said,
Really?
He said, I really like the film business. More than that, the guy's addicted to comedy. He was so. I was, killing at the table, and he's going, what a gift to do that. He's laughing about this and that.
Fair enough,
And
fair enough.
he was a genuine one of the guys. I don't know if he was like, he sits and talks like that. When he listens,
He's a good listener.
he's a good listener. I go,
this is what the left hated me, that I went to the White House
Yeah,
and
then
talked
you
to
find
him
it-
and then did not lie and say
I
he was
heard
a
it.
monster in the White. I just said it's the truth.
he's not a.
You got to meet him. You got to deal with him on a personal level.
And then you go, who is it? It reminds me, and I love Howard Stern. It's like Howard in person is a genuinely kind, wonderful guy, but he gets on the air, and I don't know what happened.
A lot of people don't know this, but Trump once seriously considered getting into the movie business. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the plan was enormous. The project, called Trump World Studios, would have been the largest film and TV studio in the nation. It would have been twice the size of Universal Studios Florida's theme park. The proposed location was Homestead, Florida, but the idea ran into more than a few obstacles. One of the biggest was the fact that the site had a very noisy neighbor, the Homestead Air Reserve Base. In one of the more amusing details from the story, Trump reportedly asked city officials, "Can you move the Air Force Base?" Which is pretty funny, because by that point he probably realized this project wasn't going anywhere.
I always said, if I was the adult in the room, I would take Donald's phone away from him and get him involved in infrastructure. Here, he would. I don't even know when people hear this. He was talking about how to do the roads. I'm a road freak about potholes around my neighborhood in L.A. We don't take care of our roads. It's just one of these things. And he was, to fix the roads in D.C., you got to get the underlayment first, get the sidewalks done. And he went off, and he was one of those news things where he's talking about how quickly he could get the road done quickly in Washington, D.C. We don't need the underlayment, but then asphalt on top of this. I'm going, that's brilliant. It's not $800 million. I could do this stuff for $6 million tomorrow, and we will get it done.
There's almost nothing he surveys that he doesn't want to fix, whether it's the Kennedy Center. And
Yeah.
look, believe me, I am not on the page with a lot of his fixes.
I get it.
But like, he looks at Venezuela, we got to fix that.
Fix it.
No ballroom, we got to fix that.
And-
Asphalt, we got to, there's just nothing that he doesn't want to personally. He does have enormous energy. You got to
Yes.
give him that.
You definitely want that kind of mindset in a president.
Okay, let me give you my own take on for the first part of the video. Now, you see that even Bill Maher being an old school liberal or a raging liberal, but he's not like a leftist. Even though Bill Maher, I actually applaud his comments about Trump. Even though he's not going to even agree with some policies of Donald Trump, he's not going to basically vote Republican ever. I don't think he's going to do that. But the fact that he's actually ready to concede and say that when he met Donald Trump, this is not the way the media portrayed him as Hitler, as somebody that is evil, somebody that is racist. They don't portray him as being cool, being somebody that loves comedy, somebody that loves movies, somebody that is just cool. I know, in the 90s, rappers were, referencing Trump in their music videos and everything. But now all of a sudden, when he came to run for president, he now became all of a sudden racist and misogynist and sexist and all the all the natural laws they always used to throw at Trump. Now, there are issues with Trump. You can criticize many issues, especially the war with Iran, the way he's capitulating to Israel and every other thing. But you cannot say that there's nothing, worthwhile. There's nothing good this second administration has actually done for the United States or even for the world in general. You know, because people look for a leader. When Biden was there, Biden wasn't the leader. Nobody was respecting him as a leader of the free world. But Trump is somebody that when he issues a threat, and he's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. So when he issues a threat, people take him seriously. Yes, I fought him for the whole Iran issue. Just that's the topic for another day because you know that you can't talk about God's chosen people on YouTube and get away with it anyhow. So I understand. I'm trying to toe a fine line here, but you know, Bill Maher is giving good credit to Trump that when he met him, and the leftists were out of their mind when Bill Maher came and reported, he had a dinner with this guy, and he was cool, and that is what he reported. He didn't want to sugarcoat or say that he's bad and everything. If he was actually bad, Bill Maher would have actually said it. And you get it? Just like the strongman leadership when he told the leader of the insurgents that I know where you are. Look at the GPS map of your location. So this is classical President Trump. So trying to say that there's nothing good Trump has actually done is just like being very, very disingenuous. And this is what these liberals and these leftists do. Trump is not, a saint. He's not God. But trying to tell us that there's nothing, good that he has actually done, or the policies that he's bringing. But he has not brought stability. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. So there must be a reason why he won all these things. So I want us to keep watching and then the last part of the video.
Because he's running the greatest country in the world. Just think about the job for a second. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes they have to wake up in the middle of the night because something's going sideways on the other side of the planet. You also want someone who, as Bill put it, likes fixing things, even to the smallest details, like restoring the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool or bringing back historical monuments. Those projects may not dramatically change people's daily lives, but they do reflect a sense of pride in the country and its history. In another appearance, Bill once again pointed out positives from the current administration, and you could tell Chris Cuomo was getting increasingly uncomfortable with it.
There's a couple of times when, look, I've been his biggest critic for good reason. And when he got reelected, I said, I'm not going to pre-hate anything. And then the first week I said, well, there's lots of things I hate, because I do. Okay, there's some things I don't hate also, but the way he can do that and sometimes kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up. Like when he did that thing where the guy came in from the Taliban and he said, this is an aerial picture of your house. If during our withdrawal, one American is hurt, just know I know where you live. I was like, oh, can we just play the music now? Because I don't care. It's Donald Trump and he's the worst person ever, blah, blah, blah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
One time they were doing something was going on and he said, you know what? When you come after New York, you got to go through me. It's like, oh, hometown boy.
This is what happens when you stop getting all your information from mainstream media.
Yeah.
Bill spent years buying into the version of Trump constantly shoved our way, but after actually meeting the guy, he walked away with a very different impression. And credit where it's due, because a lot of people would never admit that they got something wrong. That doesn't mean he suddenly agrees with Trump on everything. He doesn't. And nobody is claiming Trump is perfect, but pretending there's absolutely nothing positive about him or the administration is where things start crossing into pure hysteria. But even this tiny amount of praise made Cuomo look like he was looking for any chance to steer the conversation elsewhere. And Bill gave it to him on a silver platter.
He has those moments that no other politician has. And the Democrats have to find that guy.
They need a message, and then you find you find the messenger. No, but that's how it worked for Trump.
That's the worst thing. The Democrats always say, message, here a message. Yeah, first of all, they did, and they don't like it. Second of all, they don't give a shit. It's not about the message. Trump changes his message from day to day. Tariffs everywhere. Tariffs nowhere.
Those are policy
It doesn't
decisions.
matter. But they don't care about policy.
His
They don't
message-
understand it. His message is, I'm me, I'm strong, and I'm daddy. They're on this daddy thing, and people want a daddy. you know, Tucker Carlson, that whole thing, you've heard that thing about Daddy came home and you need a spanking. And I'm like, this is getting a little weird, Mrs. Robinson.
It is crazy how Tucker went from the spanking speech to criticizing the administration at every turn, but that's really besides the point. The main thing is, people are naturally drawn to true leadership. I mean, call it what you want, but after 4 years of Biden, it's not hard to understand why so many Americans were looking for someone who, I don't know, actually projected confidence, gave them hope that things could maybe improve, and could actually communicate a complete thought without stumbling through it. That got old after a time. And whether they were voting for Trump for the first time or the second time, many were simply looking for someone who looked like they were in charge.
But you know what? That's what works, and that's what people respond to. They don't know the issues. They don't know the facts.
I agree.
And they have no interest in learning about them. They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha. And they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha. And it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas.
I do have a little bit of pushback here. Not on the Tim Walz point, my God. But on Bill's tendency to view politics through that old liberal lens. We're only a small group of people who are supposedly informed enough to understand what's going on. Today, I don't really think that's true. The average American, they're far smarter than they're often given credit for. Many people do look things up on multiple sites, and it's one of the many reasons that many voters feel talked down to by political and cultural elites. Because instead of listening to their concerns, these geniuses just assume they know better. So, when you compare that to Trump, or really any other person in his administration, you start to understand why 2024 was a clean sweep.
Okay, the clip with Chris Cuomo, everybody knows Chris Cuomo is part of the media ecosystem. He's part of people that have TDS, strong denial syndrome. You know, Chris Cuomo, during the 2020, he was part of the apparatus that pushed the vaccine that injured people and, called everybody anti-vaxxers, called Joe Rogan Hershey taker just because he was taking ivermectin and, it was working on his body. And they were telling us trust the science, but they were prosecuting people that actually, had contrary opinion because science evolves during the 2020 COVID-19 scare and everything. So I don't take Como seriously. He has strong derangement syndrome, but another thing is that I don't, Bill Maher being Bill Maher, raging liberal, is actually making the argument that most people don't vote for Trump because of his ideas. They vote for him because they see him. Most people that are not informed. Basically, Bill Maher actually, in the first part of the video, he was actually making sweet sense, but now he's just basically saying that most Americans that voted for Trump, they don't vote for him because they know him or they know the policies. They just want a figure that is masculine, that's like a fixer, that is better than Tim Walz, Tim Walz is not relatable. I think he's not giving the average American the credit where he's due because he thinks the average American doesn't care about the situation or the policies. But I think, covering American politics or the culture and every other thing, I see that they're actually very, very informed. The average American is very, very informed. So, he's not giving enough credit to the average American. He thinks that they just vote for Trump just because they don't see those masculine imperatives or those, masculine will to fix something amongst the Democrats. But apart from that, that is an element, but that is not the main, appeal of Trump. His policies, even though some of his policies, the war and everything, especially in this second tenure, he has not actualized it. He has been kind of, he has been disappointing in some of his policies, but nobody can actually say the first term, the closing of the shutting down of the border and everything. You cannot deny those facts. You cannot deny it. So this is just like the fixer and the fixer mentality and the whole will to just do something to the strong man. Everybody yearning for a strong man leadership. They have it in North Korea, they have it in Russia. So Trump represents that, but in a democratic way. So nobody actually thinks that Tim Walz is somebody that actually going to, or Kamala Harris is somebody that is going to stand up, be a negotiator. Everybody knows that Trump is a deal maker. So that is basically the whole thing I get from the video. But Bill Maher had to just find a way to inject his own TDS, strong denial syndrome, into the whole thing. But that is just the thing. I'm loving this channel. I'll link the full clip in the description. That is just my idea of Donald Trump. You can criticize him for everything, but there is an appeal he has on people, and it's not just basically his personality that is relatable. He's a billionaire that is relatable, even though I criticize him heavily on this channel because of the policies of this second tenor, but I understand that even if I criticize him, I still have to give him credit where he's due. So that is my take on the react. Good video, good video. Thanks. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to be notified anytime I drop another video. Until next time, peace.